Okay, today's July 24th, and it is a hot and muggy day. Mosquitoes, gnats are flying around, but it's a hot and muggy day for the mountains. I'm probably about 4,000 feet where I'm at right now, and typically it's usually a little less humid, but we're only 49 days out from the opening day of deer season in my home state of North Carolina. So I set one trail camera, took it down. I didn't have anything but does. They were primarily there in the morning based on the information I got. So I'm getting ready to hike to another spot. I'm on public land right now, and I'm gonna hike up there. It's probably about a mile altogether. And I found a tremendous amount of rubs late last year. So I don't know if the buck survived or not. And I don't even know if that's gonna be his early season. Typically early season, we need to be looking for feeding areas that are adjacent to the bedding areas, as close as you can get to a buck's bedding area, because he's not going to move far. And I haven't been in there that much this year. Been doing other things, but I'm gonna go in through here and I'm gonna do a mass survey myself. And all you gotta do is look in the tops of the trees, take your binoculars, and you can see if there's acorns up there, and you can tell which one's gonna be dropping. But I know last year this main ridge over here had a tremendous amount of red oak acorns on it, and the turkeys were on it, and the deer were on it also. So we're gonna walk up here. Probably got another half mile to go, and we're gonna get some exercise. I don't anticipate seeing any sheds. I did canvass this area really hard back January, February, March, and then all the way through to the end of turkey season. If you watch some of the videos, we did several videos on scouting for turkeys, and I didn't see any sheds anywhere. So I don't anticipate seeing any this late in the year either. I mean, this is July. If you did find one, it'd be chewed up by now. So my primary goal is coming here, set a trail camera where I can get on an early season buck. Now I'm gonna check some soft mass up here too. While walking up in here, I've got apple trees at my house, and they're very full this year. So sometimes the frost will kill the apples. And they didn't this year. So I'm gonna walk up through a little apple grove that I know that's on this public land and see if there's some soft mass there, because if there is, sometimes the bucks hit that really early. So we'll ease on up here and get this trail camera set up. Okay, I'm looking at the creeks here, and if you look at the water level, it's low. The rain is basically came this year in cycles. We'll get 2 or 3 days of heavy rain, and then you'll get 5 or 6 days of zero rain. And right now we're in one of those zero rain periods. So in the mountainous areas, sometimes I think you can focus on water, but there's so many water sources. But sometimes you can go in, find you a branch or a spring somewhere, pull it up, and you'll start getting a little bit of activity on it. But there's something else I want to show you here, and I want to try to zoom in on this or get as close as I can to it. Look at this browse line right here. I call these water reeds. I'm sure there's another technical name for them. But the deer came through and pulled those off. And they've done it this whole area right through here on this little creek. So they're definitely come through here and feeding on this. But well, just there you go. There's just some tracks. So you can see the tracks right there. So when you go in and you're looking to set up your trail camera, be scouting also. Be looking for areas where there's browse line. I can see another browse line over here. Remember, deer don't have upper front teeth. So instead of like a rabbit where it's a really sharp clip, like you've cut it with some hedge clippers. The bottom part will be cut because they have teeth on the bottom front jaw and the rear. But then they kind of pull it and strip it. So there'll be a thin piece of vegetation left like it was pulled loose. But the deer are definitely coming through here and foraging on this. But if you look at this little ridge right here, this little finger ridge, we're gonna hike up through there. That's where I wanna go in and set my trail camera up. Now, I don't know if you guys can see this. I've got this camera zoomed in as much as I can, but I did find one tree. It's got some apples on it. Now they haven't started dropping yet. And I found several other smaller apples. Now these are the hawthorns right here, these two small ones, and this is, you know, conventional apple. This is more of the domesticated. So with the wind and the heavy rains and stuff like that, some of these are already dropping, but you know, obviously they're not ripe. So the deer will feed on these, but typically when I come in here, if there's a tree just dropping a tremendous amount of apples, the area will be flat. So you see where this green, all this vegetation is, this low level vegetation. If there's apples in there, the deer will have this trampled down. And I haven't seen that yet. And this is the only tree really that I've seen so far that's holding some fruit. So I'm gonna keep looking. Now I did see a couple of areas where there's some new deadfalls, some limbs have fallen out. It's created some natural sunlight openings. So typically, you know, you can look at those areas and also find greater vegetation, and that way the deer, you know, potentially can feed on that. A lot of times, if you have a ice storm in late January or sometime in the winter, and it breaks a tremendous amount of the tops out of the trees, it lets a lot of the sunlight in, and you get a exponential growth in vegetation, and the deer can feed on that too. So we're still looking. I didn't see what I thought I might see, so evidently the frost on these higher elevations killed the blooms, or killed some of the blooms. So we're gonna go back over to the area that I said that I had seen those rubs from last year. Okay, we made it to this area where I saw all those rubs last year. I'm gonna make one more comment. Because we've had very little rain this year, like I said, it's been the cycles, this vegetation is a lot shorter than typically in the past. When you have, you know, normal rainfall, typically it's up to my chest and minimum my waist, but I want to show you guys some of these rubs in here. So here you go. That one. You got that one right there, that one right there. And they were, well, there's another one right there. You can see that tree where he's rubbed it. And then now, you know, now they've rotted. But last year, a lot of these were green. So what I gotta do now is find, I mean, there's a faint trail, and that's really what I'm looking for. I'm not looking for a trail that is dominated by does and fawns, because it's gonna be beaten down quite a bit. And quite honestly, this is adjacent to, there's private on the other side. You gotta keep walking several hundred yards before you get to it, but I'm still on public land. So there's a potential that the bucks could be bedding on the private and then coming over here. But you don't see much fresh sign, but based on these rubs, and like I said earlier, this may be a late season core area, and right now, you know, he's bedded and using an area that's closer to his food source. So I'm gonna look around here, and if I can find what I think is an entrance trail coming in this direction, then I'm gonna put my trail camera up and then we're gonna back out. Okay, I've got my trail camera set up and I've got it brushed in. They're pretty good. You gotta remember you're on public land, but at the same time, you want to keep it away from the deer as well. So, you got it about a little over 5 feet off the ground. I've got it aiming at this area right here, and it looks like we've got a faint trail coming through right here. So we'll see what happens. Get ready to get out of here. If you look at my hands, I normally put gloves on when I put my trail camera up. I know some of you are saying, hey, that's just too critical, you don't need to do that, but how do you feel about the first time you set a tree stand in a new area and you hunt it for the very first time? You haven't been in there any, there's been no pressure, no scent, no sound of humankind at all. That first hunt is usually very good. Well, that's the same way I feel about sitting in my trail camera for the first time. So I know after it sits there for a few days in the sun and the rain and everything else, eventually my scent will erode off. But the first time I've got it up there, I don't want to spook anything, because a lot of times I get one picture of a buck and that's it. And that's why I like using gloves. So what I did was I just mired my hands as much as I could in the dirt to try to get some of my scent off and have maybe a earth smell on the camera. So, and we'll see how it works out. But we'll leave this up here for a couple of weeks, and we'll come back and we'll check it out and see if we've got any good pictures on it. Like I said, this may be just a core area for this buck, you know, it was really late November, early December when I saw those rubs come up. But it's happened 2 or 3 years in a row. So I don't know if it's the same deer or not, but we'll give this a shot. We'll see what happens. Hope you liked the video, and we'll see you next time.